All right, so the next part of systems is solving systems algebraically. As you can see, this is what we used to call it. What it really is substitution. Okay, so that's kind of like the new way we say it. It's just systems by substitution. So getting into the examples, you can see example 1 has a y equals, you got a variable. Y equals a variable and a number, constant. Okay, example 2, both of them have both. Okay, so you can see it gets a little bit more difficult. But the key part here is you have a y equals. In this case, we have two y equals. It's not too bad. Technically, you only need one. It could be x or y or a or b or m and n, whatever you're using for your variables. In this case, we're just using our standard x and y. So what we do for this is we are going to take the expression of one and plug it into the other. So what I do is I take the expression, y equals 4x. The 4x is the expression. We take that and we're going to plug it into the other y. Okay? And in doing this, we rewrite the equation, which it's not going to be anything too crazy. I'm going to type it in, so I don't have to use my mouse pad. Okay, but we still have the whole right side of the equation. Okay, so we're going to have 4x equals the right side negative 2x minus 6. Okay, and then there's our equation. Could have put some spaces in there, maybe that might help. Okay, and there's our equation. So then we solve this the same way we would solve any other equation. Okay, I would add the 2x over, write that part. Okay, add 2x. Maybe I shouldn't write it. That's okay. Add 2x to both sides. Okay, just like the last unit of equations, these would cancel. 4x plus 2x gives me 6x equals negative 6. I'm not going to write anymore. Okay, and then we would divide by 6 on both sides, and we would get x equals negative 1. What we do with this negative 1 now is we plug it back into one of the original equations. It technically doesn't matter which one. They both should give you the same answer. If they give you different answers, that means you messed up somewhere. Sometimes the top will be easier, sometimes the bottom will be easier. It doesn't matter. I'll just plug into the top. So we get now y equals, because we need to know what y equals. Y equals 4 times the x we just found, which is negative 1. Okay. And we just simplify that. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So we have y equals negative 4 for our y value. And then we put that into kind of our total final answer of negative 1, negative 4. That is our final answer for example 1. Okay, pause if you need to, and we're just going to move to example 2. Okay, for this, you can see it's very similar. We still need to follow the same same steps, where we're going to take the expression of one and we're going to plug it into the other. Okay, so I'm going to take this expression. Actually, let's not do that. Let's do the bottom one just to show that we can move either of them. It doesn't matter, but you'll notice you're going to have one on the left and one on the right. It's y equals y equals. It's saying that y is equal to both these things. So that means that these two things must be equal to each other. So that's why we can do this. Okay, especially for these examples when you have both equations being set to the variable y or x or whatever it may be. So we have negative 2x 7 equals negative 3x plus 9. Okay, that's our equation. And again, we would just solve it like we normally would. So I would add the 3x to both sides. So add 3x and 3x. Okay, and what that gives us is negative 2x plus 3x gives me a positive x. We still have plus 7. And then on the right side, those 3x's would cancel, and we just have a 9 left over. And then we solve it from here. Normally it'd be a two-step equation, but since we have an x here, it just cuts it down to 1. Okay, so then I will subtract the 7 from both sides. And I will get x equals 2. Okay. And then, like I said before, once we find x, we plug that back in, doesn't matter which equation, to find the y. So if I plug it into the top one, just for, making it simple, we get y equals -3 times that x, which is 2, and then that's plus 9. And we just simplify. So now we have y equals -3 times 2 gives me a -6 plus 9. So then that gives me a y equals 3. Final answer is 2, y is 3. And that's it. Problem solved. Okay, you can notice B is the same. If I were to go to pause if you need to. B is the same. These next examples are just extra of the same thing. Okay, so now we're going to go to the second kind of version. This used to be cut into 2, but we're kind of breaking it into 1. Is this. You can see we've got 4 examples. We're not going to do all of them. We'll do 2 of them, let's say. Okay, so this is where we have y equals just once, or it could be an x equals. In this case, it's y equals, just to make it kind of simple. Okay, and you'll notice that, top, bottom, doesn't matter where the y equals at. It's kind of like the same process. So looking at, let's do B actually. So let's not do A, let's do B. Okay, we're going to take the expression of what the y equals. I can't do anything at the top. I need to move into the top. Okay, so I'm going to take this expression and we'll plug it into the y. Now, the important part here is to use parentheses when you do this. Okay, if you don't use parentheses, then it's going to make it a lot more difficult with the chance of you making a mistake or not, especially when you have a negative. Okay, so our 3x still the same, 3x minus, we space things all of it, parentheses, and we take that whole expression, 2x plus 3, into the parentheses. Okay, that's why I kind of like to draw a box around it, because that whole thing is going to go in the parentheses. And then we have equals -5. Okay, and then this just turns into a multi-step equation, which we were doing last unit. So we get 3x, distribute the negative, so it becomes -2x, becomes -3, and that equals -5. And you just continue solving it. I know I'm going a little quick, but you can pause whenever you need to. Combine the like terms on the left side, we have 3x and a -2x. So again, that makes it pretty simple because we just get an x left over. So we get x minus 3 equals -5. And then I will add that 3 to both sides. And I will get x equals -2. Same process as before. Okay. Once you get, move this aside a little bit. Once you get one, plug it in to find the other. Now, if you look at these, it should be very obvious which one's going to be easier to plug into. The top one, if you plug into, you're going to have to move some stuff around and all that other stuff. If you plug into the bottom one, you just got to simplify. So I would plug into the bottom one in this case. So we're going to have y equals 2 times our x that we found, which is -2. And then we have plus 3. And we just simplify. Okay. Y equals 2 times -2 gives me a -4. -4 plus 3 will give me a -1. My final answer is -2, -1. That's that. So go ahead and pause if you need to, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, and the one you are going to try, I want you to try this one first for a little bit, so pause. You're going to try C. Okay, it's a little different, a little bit trickier with having to do one more little step, and then that will be it. So pause, and here we go. So again, taking the expression, y equals, plugging it into the y in the other equation. Again, I put the box around it just to kind of make it know that that needs to go in the parentheses. So then we write it out. -3x minus 2 times the whole thing, -3x 2, and then that equals -2. Then we just go from there. Now, parentheses, that means we need to distribute. Last problem, we just only had to distribute the negative, so this one takes a little bit more work. Okay, so I still have -3x to start, And then I do negative 2 times negative 3x gives me a plus 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me a plus 4. And that's equal to negative 2 still. Next step, combine our like terms. So I get 3x plus 4 equals negative 2. And then we have an actual two-step equation finally. Okay, so we're going to subtract that 4 from both sides. We get 3x equals negative 6. Same sign, add and keep that. Divide by 3, and we will get x equals negative 2. Okay, and similar to the last problem, plug it into the bottom equation. It is a lot easier. Okay, so we take this y equals negative 3 times our x that we found, which is 2, minus 2, and then we just solve that. Y equals negative 3 times 2 gives me negative 6. Negative 6 minus 2 gives me negative 8. So our final answer is negative 2, negative 8. That's it. Okay, that does it for this. The next part will be moving into systems by elimination, which is just another way of doing it using algebra and not graphing. Okay, until then, I'll see you next time.